Hello, I'm Dr. Harper. This video is going over the syllabus in Management of Operations, BUSN 6630, Section E01, the online section, Summer 2021. So let's bring up the syllabus. The course description matches the catalog, and down here is the schedule outline. And as I've said in the brief syllabus, every week you will have weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 6, actually 1 through 6. You'll have either a quiz due, and the quiz down here will emphasize mechanics. A homework will emphasize the application, and the memos will emphasize communication in a business environment. And so every week we start with forecasting and introduction to forecasting, linear programming optimization, aggregate planning, inventory, control theory, and then MRP is multiple inventory, and ABC inventory classification, and then finally scheduling. And if you notice, we start with first tools. Forecasting, linear programming are just tools. Aggregate planning and inventory is like top-down planning. And then MRP, ABC inventory classification, scheduling is more day-to-day operations. The last 2 weeks is an exam and individual projects. And notice both of these are due by the end of the course. But the end of the course is on Saturday, July 31st, 11:59 p.m., and nothing is considered after the end of the course. So be very, very careful to make sure that you take the exam during those 2 weeks, you submit your project report during those 2 weeks, and I have 2 weeks to do both of those. And all of these are going to be on Canvas. Online through Canvas. The required textbook here is the 12th edition of Heiser and Render, and this is pretty much the level of rigor that I will have in this course, but also on Canvas I will post my lecture notes. So the lecture notes and the video and then the actual text will be supplemental to the material, although it is required to reading. Okay, a brief summary here. Each quiz is 10 questions, 1 point per question, no late assignments. Each homework is 20 questions, 1 point per question, no late assignments. And each memo requires compositions of 1 response memo, 1 technical memo, and a video presentation. And I have a link in Canvas on how to generate the videos. No memos accepted after the end of the course. The exam is over 4 course topics, 20 multiple choice questions, 2 points per question, 60 minutes. It's on Canvas. No exam is accepted after the end of the course. So notice the 4 topics will be the forecasting, optimization, linear programming, aggregate planning, and inventory control theory. Now, topics 5 and 6 are these topics, MRP, ABC, scheduling, and process control charts. These I don't really give an exam on. These are more applications and detailed operations and detailed day-to-day techniques that are useful. The exam, the individual projects are due online through Canvas. No reports accepted after the course. And communication. Now, communication is important. Will primarily utilize the Q&A question and answer link to a discussion forum in Canvas. I will access the Q&A discussion periodically throughout the course. I want to emphasize and encourage to use the Q&A link in Canvas on every week. So people a lot of times can answer questions, and that's the forum. It's course-wide. All the students can answer that. I will access it periodically, and I will access, and sometimes I'll say nothing because all of the conversation is perfectly fine. Usually students can have, your fellow students, your peers can have answers to questions better than I can, because sometimes you'll ask a question and I'll go much deeper than you need. And another student can answer it and say, oh, this is what you mean, because they're doing the same things you're doing. So use the Q&A. It's much more efficient than necessarily me answering the question. Okay, there's the first page. Let's go a little bit deeper. The grading, 6 quiz assignments, 4 homework assignments, 4 memo assignments, exam and project, over 300 points. The emphasis here is that your grade is based solely on the percentage of your grade measure performance according to this table below. Grades are not negotiated. Percentage determined from your points earned out of points possible. Be very careful on Canvas. Canvas does all kinds of calculations. I asked them not to put that in. They can't do that. So you'll have all these percentages. Be careful that you don't look at those percentages because they do different kinds of weighting and adding in and subtracting and deleting and prioritizing. So essentially, however many points you earn, divide by the total possible points. That's your percentage. And that percentage over here will indicate the letter grade. And that's how I will assign course grades. Notice the letter grades, there's no plus minus grades. And 0.5% is rounded up. In other words, if you have 89.5%, that's rounded up to 90%, which is an A. If you have 89.4%, that's rounded down to 89, which is a B. Okay, the course is online with asynchronous learning and synchronous assignments due. In other words, I'll be posting videos at the beginning of every week for forecasting, linear programming, planning, and then you'll have these assignments due. So you can learn asynchronously throughout the week, but the assignments are due on Sunday, 11:59 p.m. through Canvas. No late assignments are accepted. Make sure you get these in on time by the due date. So that is synchronous, but you learn and get it done through the week. Okay. And I repeat this again, just for completeness. So let's go on. Course material. I've already talked about the textbook. Canvas is required. And here's the reading material that's required in Heiser and Render. And as I say, for example, overview of the Operations Management, Chapter 1, pages 1. FF is Latin for following, and following 1, and then you keep going the rest of that chapter. And sometimes I list the exact pages. Sometimes I'll just say beginning with 105 and continuing on. And that's what and following means. Now, these are just topics at the rigor for this course. And notice sometimes I'll have things in here like, let's see here, project management, quality management. And so sometimes I'll have things in here that I don't necessarily cover. Okay, but it is easy reading, good reading. I don't cover them in this particular course, but they can be covered within the broader knowledge base of operations management. Prerequisites. Although there are no prerequisites for this course, it's a core course. Knowledge of mathematics, statistics, and Excel will be useful. I don't want to say required because they're not required, but they will be useful. And one thing as far as mathematics is concerned and statistics, if you have trouble, it's not, if you need help with mathematics or statistics as I go through, it's not part of the course. It will not be part of the course as far as the instruction is concerned, but if you need help, I'll be more than happy to help you on a one-to-one basis. Now with Excel, I'll be using Excel in here exclusively. And in Excel, we'll be using add-ins. With Solver, we'll be using different types of add-ins. And as we go through the lecture, the videos will explain how to do Excel. Again, if you need help on one-on-one on the office hours, I'll have in-person office hours and Zoom office hours Monday, Wednesday at 1 p.m. with a link in Canvas. Communication. Communication is important. It's important to make sure you understand how to communicate. Unfortunately, in the past, people think, I'm going to communicate this way, and that's not part of the way to communicate. And what happens is I don't respond because that's not the communication channels that I've set up. So let's make sure you understand. Communication about the material or the course will be the Q&A links in Canvas, and that's the important part. That's the primary communication. Usually Q&A for discussions between students, asking questions about the course material, asking questions about the sharing information, or other collaborations helpful for learning. I will join and respond appropriately to discussions in the Q&A Canvas discussion throughout the course. Although collaboration is encouraged throughout this course to learn the material, each student is required to submit original work. No collaboration is allowed on the exam. Only submit originally composed individual project reports. So even though you can, what I mean by that is you can collaborate. I want people to collaborate, to help each other learn the material. But when you take the exam, it's just you taking the exam. When you write the report, it's just you writing it. You can get the information from other people and work together, but you write your own report. In the event, Canvas messaging is used for communication about course material. Usually, I will refer those communications to the Q&A Canvas discussion for other students to benefit from your answers. Only use Canvas messaging for personal communication when necessary. And this is important. Since email has been unreliable in the past, often I never receive the email or it gets lost. Use email only when necessary. Do not rely on email as the primary communications. I want to emphasize that. That's been a problem in the past. Should communication using email is considered necessary, use the email address. Here's my email address. Now, and you include BUSN 6630 in the subject area to be considered. Otherwise, I may not even receive the email. Because there's more than one Michael Harper here. There's 2 or 3. At one time, there were 3 different Michael Harpers, and a lot of people were emailing me. I was not even getting it. It was going to Anschutz or someplace else with a Michael Harper in the system. So be very careful when you use email. It is unreliable. I even have people, my colleagues, try to email me, and it doesn't even get to me. Okay, so be very careful with email. And do not rely on it as the primary communication channel. Collaboration is a responsibility of each student. Lack of collaboration does not eliminate a student's responsibility to submit assignments when due. If a tutor is used, and some people use tutors, which is a responsibility of the student, be careful to use the tutor appropriately. Appropriately means the tutor helps you learn the material. It doesn't do the assignments for you. I will conduct in-person office hours Wednesday from 4 to 5 in business school, office number 4205. I will conduct synchronous Zoom office hours Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. At the link provided in Canvas. And at the Zoom office hours, I don't stay there for hours on end unless people ask questions. I'll stay there maybe 10 minutes. If no one shows up, I'll usually close it out, and then I'll come back on the next day. So I don't just sit there waiting for people to show up. Now, for my in-person office hours, I have class at 6. And so from 4 to 5 and 5 to 6, I prepare for class. And so I will be there in person that whole hour. This is descriptions from the catalog. I repeat it again. And these are my course objectives. In other words, as you go through this course, you'll see I survey concepts, methods, and strategies. The concepts is just understanding, methods is applications, strategies, and there's where your communication comes in. And also the application in the homework. Commonly used. Recognition of problems, application techniques, communication of results are emphasized through lectures, assignments, and exams. Recognizing the problem. I'll tell you what the problem is, but often I will give you in the homework, I will say, here's a problem, solve it. You have to recognize what kind of problem it is before you can solve it. And some people have trouble with that. Oh, yeah, that's inventory. No, inventory is part of aggregate planning. Oh, that's aggregate planning. No, aggregate planning is part of linear programming. You have to understand what the problem is before you can solve it. And then you apply the correct technique and apply it correctly. You can apply the wrong technique correctly and get a wrong answer. You can apply the right technique incorrectly and get a wrong answer. So you have to apply the right technique the right way to the right problem to get a correct answer. But once you have the answer, that's not enough in business. You have to communicate the results. And communication results, and there's where the memos come in and the videos. The approach to the material in this course will include progressive objectives of a basic understanding of the underlying concepts of operations. 2, a proficiency in the application of the tools and operations problem. And 3, an ability to formulate, evaluate, and critique operational strategies. 4, experience in communicating results in a business environment. So there's the actual progressive objectives in this course. Now, the outcome. This course should provide a student the capability to independently acquire workable solution to commonly encountered operations problems, or to be an effective leader or contributor in a team effort dealing with operations issues. Okay, the submission of quiz assignments and homework assignments. Quiz assignments and homework assignments will be assigned and graded. Quiz assignments and homework assignments will be available on Canvas and submitted through Canvas. No late assignments are accepted. Answers to the assignments posted on Canvas after due date. Now, this is important. Quiz questions and homework questions will be posted on Canvas in a Word file at appropriate times during the course. Carefully follow this procedure to submit answers to assignments through Canvas. 1. Download the questions from Canvas, which will be in a Word file. You download the questions. It's in a Word file. It's not on the submission links in Canvas. It's in a Word file. The submission link does not have the questions, does not have the answers. It's where you post the answers because it's multiple choice. Download the questions, which will be multiple choice. Obtain the answers for all the questions. You get all your answers. Only when all the answers are ready to submit, submit all the answers through Canvas at one time. In other words, you get all your answers, and they're all multiple choice. So you answer A, B, B, A, B, C, D, E kind of thing. Only then do you go in, open the link, and just click in all of the letter answers in Canvas. When you open Canvas, there's no questions, there's no answers, there's no text. It's just letters. A, B, C, question 1, A, B, C, D, E, question 2, A, B, C, question 3, A, B, C, D, E. You click the right letter. Each student is responsible to submit the answers through Canvas correctly, completely, and on time. Answers may be submitted only once. You can't come back and resubmit. Assignments submitted will be accepted as entire assignments and graded as entire assignments. So once you get in and you come out, you can't go back in. That's your submission. Out of 10 or 20 questions, if you submit 2, well, 8 of them are going to be wrong. If it's say 8 out of 10 or 18 out of 10. So be very careful here. Once you begin submission, you have only 60 minutes to submit all the answers to an assignment, only if all the answers are submitted on or before the due date and time for the assignment. In other words, you open it up, you only have 60 minutes. Well, people take maybe 2 minutes to do it. So 60 minutes is more than enough time. So 60 minutes. But during that time, you need to submit all of them before the due date and time for the assignments, which is Sunday night, 11:59 p.m. If you open this 11:58, you submit 3 assignments, the due date and time are strictly enforced by Canvas. Canvas will not allow submission after the due date and time, even during the 60-minute time window. So make sure you start submission way early to make sure you get it in before 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night. The entire assignment must be submitted on or before the due date and time indicated. No late assignments are accepted. Assignments not submitted have a grade of 0. The answer to the quiz and homework questions will be posted online after the due date. No partial credit. Again, be very careful. Okay, the student is responsible. Again, the student is responsible to submit these online on time. Okay, follow the common rounding conventions for calculations in this course. Never round during calculations. A lot of people say, I didn't get that right. I didn't get that answer and I did it right. Well, if you round a number in the middle of a calculation, you're going to get a wrong answer. If it's 1.286483, use the entire number in your calculations. When you round it to 1, you're starting losing, called tolerance stack up, and the tolerance begins to move to the wrong answer. So never round during calculations. Only round presentations. You can round it to present it, but you never use a rounded number in a calculation, only in a presentation. If rounding to the units digit, then 1.5 is rounded to 2, 1.4 is rounded to 1. I've already mentioned that before. Any grading errors should be resolved as soon as possible. Let me know, because there are mistakes. Canvas can make mistakes. Sometimes I post things incorrectly because a lot of moving parts here. If you see a problem, let me know. No corrections to the graded material will be made after the end of the course. So make sure everything is done well before the end of the course, and that's why I have the exam on the last week. So there's whole 2 weeks there to make sure everything is done correctly. And finally, collaboration is encouraged to aid in learning the material, but not required. Although collaboration is encouraged, students are expected to perform their own work. The quiz and homework assignments are designed as an introduction and development of the material, but not intended to be complete coverage of the material. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Collaboration is encouraged. Work with each other. And I'll help you as much as I can. Okay, then you have communication and memo assignments. The memo assignments are small case studies. I will make available something called an assignment memo in Canvas at appropriate times. It will initiate work from each student. So the assignment memo is what I give you. It'll be in Canvas. You download it in a Word file. Each assignment memo requires 3 submissions: a response memo, a technical memo, and a video presentation. Each memo is limited to only 1 page. So this is a succinct business communication. In business communication, you don't ramble on. You don't describe things. You say, here's what you need to know. Here's what I did. Here's what you need to know. Here's how to move forward. All that is within a page. Submit memos in 1 PDF file. The video presentation consists of audio and video based on a PowerPoint, and limit that presentation to less than 2 minutes. And so whereas the response memo and technical memo are communications on written form, the video is communication in video and audio form, and that less than 2 minutes is giving what they need to know. It's not describing how you solve the problem. It's saying, here's what I found. Here's what you need to know. Now, the technical memo is the details. Okay, let's break these apart. Design the response memo for the business environment that effectively communicates a professional response to the party requesting the work in the assignment memo. The response memo shall be succinct but adequate, as well as originally composed, professionally prepared, and following a common format, which is below down here. Here's the common format. We'll get to that in a minute. The complete response memo must be less than 1 page. Only 1 page, and that's it. 1 page or less. It's limited to 1 page. Okay, now the response memo is telling the person who requested the work, the business client, the business person, here is what I found, here's what you need to know. Now, what a business person needs to know is not the mathematics on how you solve your problem. They don't care. They say, what's the answer? How do I use the answer? What should I do? That's the response memo. Be careful you don't mix them. Mix the response with technical. Design the technical memo as an internal document that describes the details of the approach and quantitative methods utilized in obtaining the results presented in the response memo. So the technical memo is a description of how you solve the problem. And I want to emphasize the word describe. It describes the details. A lot of people, what they will do is they'll just put an Excel spreadsheet. There it is. That's not describing anything. I will count off. The tactical memo did not describe. It's a memo. It's not a spreadsheet. It's not a graph. It's describing the details on how your approach, how you solved it, and how you did it. And it's not necessarily doing the solution. It's describing how you did it and the details on how you did it. So be very careful with the tactical memo. A lot of people make mistakes in saying, oh, well, there's my graph, or here's the spreadsheet, or there's the equation. No, explain how you did it. Okay. The tactical memo shall contain enough detail to support and adequately generate the tactical portion of the response memo. Now, back when I was working, before I came into academia, that came from my experience. When we would put together, I used to do a lot of presentations to different audiences. When we put together technical presentations, we would get colleagues who did not know what we were doing, and we would have the presentation, and if they could generate exactly what we did, then the presentation was well done. If they say, I really don't know what you're talking about, and they're as educated as we were, they had the same background as we did, they even did the same things we did. If we didn't explain it in enough detail for them to actually generate what we did, then it wasn't done well. It's enough detail to generate the tactical portion of the response memo. The tactical memo shall be succinct but adequate, as well as originally composed, professionally prepared, and following a common format. Again, it's a memo. It's not a table. A table could be in the memo. It's not a graph only. A graph could be in the memo, but the memo describes what you did. The complete technical memo must be limited to only one page. Now, design the PowerPoint presentation or the video based on PowerPoint to adequately address specific requests in the assignment memo and appropriate to the audience defined in the assignment memo. In other words, in the assignment memo, some of these audiences will be a small business, some may be corporate, some may be the manager. So it'll be people in business, but it'll be different people in business. And so it's addressing that audience that has been identified in the assignment memo. The presentation shall contain audio as well as video. A lot of people, the audio never comes through, with text and visuals appropriate to the audience and objective. In other words, sometimes the objectives will vary from the different memo assignments. The entire presentation must be limited to less than 2 minutes. Because succinct in a video is even more important because it's attention span. Your reading can be longer, but in presentation and talking, the attention span is shorter. And so that's why it's less than 2 minutes. Each response memo and technical memo must be self-contained, complete, descriptive, succinct, limited to one page. Generally, self-contained would not reference material in the other memo. In other words, don't have a response memo and say, and I solved it and the answer's over in this technical memo over here. No, it needs to be in that memo. Everything is contained in that memo. A complete memo would contain all the content to adequately achieve its objective. In other words, some people say, well, I did it, but I'll give it to you later. No, you give it to them there, now. It says, well, I solved it, and that's how I solved it. Well, tell them what you solved. Okay. A descriptive memo would contain a presentation that has literary competence. Literary competence means you describe it. Don't say, some people have said, and I have optimized the solution, and I've minimized this and optimized this. Well, you really didn't give them the answer. You told them what you did, but there was no real competency in what you did. Okay, and a succinct memo would not contain superfluous or inappropriate material. Okay, the composition of response memos, technical memos, and PowerPoint presentation should reflect the different audiences, the objectives, and scenarios as defined in the assignment memos. Although the response and technical memos are self-contained, they must correspond. What I mean by this is also mistakes people make. The response memo talk about a solution. In the technical memo, you solved a different problem. Okay? In the technical memo, you say, I solved the problem this way, but I use this solution in the response memo. The technical memo and the response memo need to coordinate because the response memo is an internal document that establishes what you did for that client, for that response memo. Any item presented in the response memo must be supported in the technical memo. Consider the response memo as an external communication document designed for the business environment. Consider the technical memo as an internal support document for internal review and support for the response memo. Consider the PowerPoint presentation a standalone video of your work that can be distributed as a professional communication product. I say PowerPoint presentation, I should say video, because the PowerPoint will have audio and video. It can be distributed as a professional communication product, self-contained. Late memo assignments, some people don't get them in on time, will receive a 10% grade reduction per day. So be very careful of that. I want to severely penalize people to get them in. Now, what happened? No memo assignments are accepted after the end of the course. You can only submit your memo assignment only one time in this course. However, and if it's late, it just goes down 10%, 10%, 10%. Get it in. That doesn't mean that you couldn't redo it and improve it. In other words, some people will do it. I may critique it. You say you didn't do this, and you have a grade. Say, okay, well, I want to redo it. You can redo it. It's not going to change your grade, but it can improve your memo. Because I see these memos as takeaways. Takeaways from you have a written document on how you solved it. You have a video on how you solved a problem. And I would think you have a takeaway from this course, a very sharp video that a year from now, a month from now, 5 years from now, you go back to that video and say, here's what I did. And I would say even after the course is over, sharpen the video. It's a takeaway. It's something that you've done that you can actually distribute as a professional communication product even after the course. Okay, so even though it's not going to change your grade, you get one grade, it will help you as a takeaway. Okay. And here's the format. Submit one PDF file with 3 pages. The first page is the assignment memo. You just take the assignment memo, copy it, and put it in your PDF. The second is a response memo. The third is a technical memo. Each response memo must be no more than 1 page in length. It can be less. Each technical memo must be no more than 1 page in length. It can be less. But submit only 3 pages. No title page, no attachments, no appendices, and submit through Canvas. Submit one PDF file with 3 pages according to the following format. In other words, with the 1 page, you'll have the top here, assignment memo, and you have this header information. And then here's the content. Well, this assignment memo, I give you that. So you're not generating this, you're just copying it. But you're generating the response and technical memo, again, with this header information and your content right there at 1 page. And make sure you have the title with the correct, response memo 1, 2, 3, 4. Technical memo 1, 2, 3, 4. The purpose of this is that I will grade this as a response memo. I grade this as a technical memo. If this is technical, I'll probably grade off. If this is response and not technical, I'll grade off. And so make sure that these are composed appropriately. Now, the PowerPoint presentation must contain audio and video. I don't want to just say video because it's audio and video based on a PowerPoint design. The production should adequately utilize the audio and video forms of communication distinct from the memo forms of communication. I mentioned that before. Memo forms are written. The PowerPoint, the video is video. Specifically, do not merely read the text of the memos for the video. Do not rely solely on audio without video support. So you don't just read your memo or just read it's a presentation. So the presentation is different than a memo. The video should contain and illustrate the objectives of the presentation with audio as support for the objectives and motivation for the audience. Okay, it's not a communications course, but business is communications. You can't get away from it. Communication should be part of everything in business. Consider the presentation to illustrate and represent objectives contained in the assignment memo rather than explain or merely state objectives. Consider the presentation to illustrate and represent the objectives rather than just explaining or just stating them. Sometimes I'll say, I'll critique a video, say, you really didn't present anything. You just listed what the answers were. You're presenting them and you're illustrating them to give understanding to your objectives, and you're representing them in such a way that they can carry them forward. And we'll talk about that from time to time in this course. Okay, I will be grading the response memo and technical memo on format and memo format and content. Not necessarily, I don't grade on spelling or anything like that. Like some people, English is their second language. I'm looking at the content. Did you have the format, the content, and not necessarily the literary structure? That can be refined. I'm looking at the content. Each response and technical memo should contain technical accuracy, adequate responses specifically to the client's request, and appropriate delivery relative to the scenario presented. That's what I look for. However, each student's judgment of content and composition should reflect their knowledge, personality, and communication style. On this sentence here, a lot of people say, could you give me an example on what you want? I want what you think you can do best. So I'm going to get all different kinds of memos coming in. As long as the content is accurate, notice up here, technical accuracy, adequate responses, appropriate delivery, another appropriate delivery to the scenario presented. You're talking to the right people. You're not talking to me, you're talking to the client. Okay, it should be your personality, your knowledge, your communication style. I want you to start developing that from what you think you should do. I just look at the content. And I'll demonstrate, you'll see as you go through, you can improve on how you communicate. But each response and technical memo must be original, yours, should exhibit professional quality and value because it's in a business environment. So consider these response memos as a link from academics to the business environment. Okay, collaboration is encouraged to aid in learning the material but not required. Most importantly, collaboration should be limited to the calculations. You can help each other with the calculations. Analysis, help each other with analysis. Understanding, help each other with the understanding of the content of the memo assignment, but not the creation or composition of the response memo, the technical memo, or the PowerPoint presentation. In other words, the creation and composition is going to be yours. Each student is required to do their own writing, composition, production, and submit originally composed work. Essentially, the same response to technical memo or PowerPoint presentation submitted by 2 or more students will receive a grade of 0 and would be considered a violation of academic dishonesty standards. So here is where you can have academic dishonesty and that I will report. Academic dishonesty is cheating. The incident may also be reported to the Internal Affairs Committee of the Business School at the University of Colorado Denver for further action. Do not assist another student by allowing them to see a copy of your written work. Academic dishonesty includes copying from another per student or allowing a student to copy from your work in part or in whole. So when I see the same, both get zeros, both are reported, because don't let people see your work. You can talk about it, but don't give them your work, word for word. The purpose of the memo assignments, are to test your understanding of the techniques, your ability to correctly apply the methods presented in a business context, and your ability to communicate these concepts in a business environment. And I think the key in these memos is business environment, business environment, business environment. Exam. An examination will be given in this course. Exams will be online through Canvas, multiple choice, time, designed for evaluation. When I say designed for evaluation, I will have an exam study guide, a video, and say, here's what I'll be asking. I want it designed to evaluate that you do know this stuff. I want it to be more validation of your knowledge instead of testing your knowledge. In other words, I'll ask you things that you should know. I don't want to ask you things you don't know or try to figure out. You should know them. And I'll tell you what to come in prepared to answer. Also, it's on Canvas, multiple choice, timed. But on Canvas, multiple choice, timed, I do not use Proctorio. It's just on Canvas, just like the homework. But the exams will have the questions in Canvas in the actual link, and it'll have the actual answers, and you pick the answer. Each student must take their own exam. No collaboration is allowed in taking the exam. Now, you can learn and review, but in taking the exam, do your own exam. Collaboration is cheating and represents academic dishonesty. Again, the same thing as before. For the exam, each student is responsible to use only instructional material provided during the course. Each student is responsible to use only a calculator and no other equipment, especially communication devices such as phones or laptops. You're not going to need a laptop. Just all you will need is just a calculator. Okay. No exam taken will result in a 0 for the exam, and so make sure you take it. No exam will be considered after the end of the course. In other words, you can't take it after the end of the course. Make sure you get that exam taken before. I give you enough help. You have 2 weeks to take it. You'll have that review guide at the beginning of the 2-week period. I think I even do it even the week before. Okay, then projects. Each student is required to conduct independent research on a topic based on material used related to the course. Now, the deliverables from each student include an individual report and a video presentation. The individual report will be submitted as a PDF. The video presentation will be a PowerPoint submitted as an MP4. Guidelines for the project topic. Okay, what do you do the project on? These are the guidelines. 1, a topic related to the course. Don't do something unrelated to operations. 2, a topic beyond the course that was not specifically covered in the course, such as going deeper than the level of rigor in the course or going broader than the techniques in the course. Something beyond the course. What I don't want is redoing my lectures. Oh, I'm redoing this lecture. Don't do that. Here's what I did in the course. You can go more sophisticated, more rigor. You can have other techniques or broader, but don't just redo what the course was. 3, an appropriate case study of the material in this course. Now, this one, some people say, I work for a company, I have an internship, or I used to work for a company. I want to apply this material to a case study, a real case study, and that's perfectly fine. Say, oh, here's what has happened, here's what I've done, here's a case study. And that's fine too. Okay. Also, a topic may be selected from a list provided in the website. Aha. Now, I haven't mentioned my website yet. If you go to Canvas down here, I'll put a link in here. I didn't put a link. I'll put a link in here to my website. My website is simply mdharper.com. Put up here, mdharper.com. And so in the website, under Operations Management, click Operations Management, and you come down here at the bottom. And by the way, notice I have a lot of videos here, and a lot of these videos you can access. Okay, down here at the bottom, Project List A, Here's forecasting. There's a book here, and it'll go deeper. You say, I want to do more forecasting, but I don't know what. Well, this book, Judgment or REMA Models, Nonlinear Graphical Techniques. So this is a good book. Process Management, Analytics here, Sustainability, Quality Management, Project Management, Supply Chain Management, and I even have a B list here. Professional organizations. Some people say, what if I want to get certified in inventory control or resource management or aggregate planning? Here's forecasting, here's quality control, and there's others. You might even come up with others. Another textbook, another book here. I separated out the forecasting, optimization, goal programming, manufacturing, MPC, planning and control. In other words, these are suggestions. You don't have to do anything from here, but some people say, I don't know what to do. Do you have any suggestions? Yeah, these are the suggestions. And as I say, it's just mdharper.com. Okay. However, each student must have a different project. The project grade for each student will be 10% of the presentation, 90% on the individual report. By the way, that 10%, 10% is also for memos as well. 10% on the 90% on the memo, the response and technical memo. 10% on the video. The original composed individual report shall demonstrate the student's knowledge of the research and ability to effectively communicate the knowledge appropriate to a business professional. Each individual report must be unique. Each individual report must be professionally composed with an introduction, main body, conclusion, references. Although no literary structure is required, a suggested length of the report is more than 2 pages. It's suggested if someone had a page and a half, but it's really good, they covered everything really well, fine. It's kind of hard to have a report in less than 2 pages, including graphs and tables, but a length that follows the guidelines, again, of succinct but adequate. It's my favorite phrase. The length must be enough to adequately present your work, but length can be considered a negative if too long and content is not significant. So, if it's too short, it's not adequate. If it's too long, it's not succinct. So there's have to be a break even in there, a happy medium. Submit the completed individual report only through Canvas as a PDF on or before the due date and time. Each report may only be submitted once, may only be submitted as a complete report, and submitted by the due date and time. A report not submitted has a grade of 0. No late reports are accepted. Each student is required to submit original material for their individual report. What I mean by original material is you compose the report yourself. Don't copy from someone else or use someone else's copy. It's your copy. Although collaboration is encouraged to conduct research, collaboration does not include copying from another student or allowing a student to copy from you on an individual work that is submitted. Now, submit your report through Canvas as a PDF file. Do not use a cover page. Do not use a cover page, but use a title below on the first page where the student supplies the information in italics. In other words, you'll have a title, and you'll have this. You'll have your name, date, and then you'll start your content. So your report will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, and then everything else is your report. Now, the PowerPoint-based audio-video project presentation must be a detailed account of your research, but not a summary of the but a summary. Okay, let me say that again. Must not be a detailed account of your research, but a summary of the significant findings from your research designed as a documentary. No, you're not giving everything you found, not a detailed account. It's like a documentary. Say, oh, I found this and this and this, like an executive summary. I could have said executive summary. The presentation should be limited to approximately 2 minutes. As a warning, specifically do not read your report as your presentation or covered detailed in your report in your presentation. It's not detailed, it's a general, a documentary or executive summary. Consider your PowerPoint-based audio-video project presentation as a deliverable of this course for future use, similar to the memos. Okay, general policies. Nothing will be considered after the end of the course. That's a strict policy. Assignments consist of quiz assignments, homework assignments, memo assignments, and an individual project. All submissions of assignment are through Canvas. Each assignment not received when due has a grade of 0. Late quiz assignments are not accepted. Late homework assignments are not accepted. And no assignment accepted after the end of the course. Nothing is accepted after the end of the course. You get a 0 if you don't submit it. Grades will be posted online during the course. Final course grades are submitted through the registrar and not on Canvas. No corrections to the grade will be considered after the end of the course. Now, as long as, notice I say quiz assignments and homework assignments, if you don't submit it, you have a grade of 0. But remember, memo assignments have a 10% reduction, and you can keep submitting them, and I'll help. You can only submit a memo assignment one time. But if you say, I've updated it, I'll help you improve it as a takeaway. Okay. Now, what happens if for some reason or other Canvas goes down, you can't submit it, and all submissions are through Canvas? However, I don't put this in the syllabus, but I will do this if like you say Canvas went down, I can't submit it, but I can email it to you. So if I get an email, you can't get on Canvas. If I get an email with your memo on time, with the answers to the quiz on time, with the homework on time, your memo assignment on time, or even your report, if I get it on time with a time, date, and stamp, and it's on time, I won't ignore it. I'll accept it. It's okay, fine, okay? But if it's after the due date and time, then I won't. So make sure you get it to me when it's due, the due date and time. And I'll accept it. I don't put that in the syllabus, but I'll accept it. I won't ignore it. But again, through email, it's very risky. Sometimes I don't get it. And so make sure you get it to me. Okay. And so somehow you can't get it to me through Canvas. Get it to me even through email. Okay. In the event academic dishonesty occurs on an assignment or an exam, the work will receive a grade of 0. Any incident of academic dishonesty may be reported to the Internal Affairs Committee of the Business School for further action. And at this point, for further action, I've been here long enough. That further action has included suspension and even expulsion and a grade of F in the course. Conduct. They've asked us to put this in our syllabus, and I think it's a good idea. This first link is the code of conduct for not only students, faculty, visitors, everybody. So make sure you're aware of the code of conduct. I will initiate due process against violations of the code of conduct. Violations include verbal and physical disruption or even intimidation. Actions to initiate due process can include a formal report to the Behavioral Assessment and Threat Assessment Team Beta, and that's this link. Now, this formal report to the Beta team could be a faculty, could be a student, could be anybody, could be a staff member, and all. This is an assessment team, a behavioral threat assessment team, a behavioral assessment. They will come in and evaluate what's going on, make sure you'll calm things down and try to find solutions. They're not there to blame anybody. They're trying to help smooth things out. And that's this link. Now, the campus assessment, response, and evaluation team, the CARE team, this is an evaluation going and actually evaluating an imminent assessment of something going on. Okay, so this is a threat. This is just assessment. So the Beta team is coming in and actually evaluating something. The care team is coming in and looking and assessing situations. Okay, commitment. Taking this course represents your commitment to perform the work when due. Faculty policies state that classes in the business school should require of their students a workload that enhances quality education and is consistent with the amount of academic credit granted for the course. This course requires work done on a regular basis. This is a 3-credit course, and it's a 3-credit course, and it's a core course, and it's a graduate course, and the amount of work to be done and the level of rigor of the work to be done should be in line with higher education. Some people have trouble with that. But anyway, this is a commitment expectation when you take this course. No incomplete grades are given. I haven't done it. I don't do it. However, right after that, policies in the syllabus apply to each student equally. However, I will consider special circumstances, but standards will not be compromised and all work must be completed during the course. Now this right here, I recognize that from time to time things happen. People get in accidents, this and that, and if I can support and help special circumstances by changing things or supporting people, I will. But I will not lower the standards. They don't get a grade for something they don't do. And all the work, their grade is based on the work done during the course. That's the grade they get. Now, any action taken by me that might be taken as varying from these policies shall not be a cause to eliminate or alter a student's responsibility to adhere to all the requirements of the course or to prevent my action in enforcing policies in the course to every student. What this sentence means is simply, from time to time, sometimes I need to say, okay, well, you can do it this way. That doesn't become policy for everybody else in the course. Like some people are in an accident, they need to submit it a different way, or that I can work with them. Sometimes people are sick and they submit it through their family or something. But the standards have to be met, and it has to be done during the course, and all the deadlines have to be met. Okay. Now, this represents a overview, an introduction, a description of the syllabus. And so in leaving, I want to emphasize the reason we're here is learning. I'm here to teach, you're here to learn, and hopefully this course you can learn as much as you can in the time we have together, because that's why we're here. It's all about learning. This structure is designed for learning. The assignments are designed for learning. The resources I give you are designed for learning. So learn as much as you can in the time we have together. That's all I have. Between now and the next time I see you, take care.